All right, a lot of noise going into this game today. Let's start with it. Mbappe. I mean, we can't even talk about the game because Mbappe's noise going into this match. Media reporting that, of course, you were also talking about that Mbappe is wanting to leave the club as quick as he possibly can. How much of that was a distraction for the team today, do you think? And what is the truth behind all the noise with this?
I mean, I think it definitely was a distraction given that it was so close to kick off. I mean, this sort of broke mid-afternoon, and I think it was quite telling that sporting advisor Luis Campos was kind of put up to the press before the game to, to swat away these rumours, because they not only concerned Kylian Mbappe and a potential move away in the winter transfer window, also, concerned Campos as well, suggestions that he's sort of on board with this kind of almost like a coup of Mbappe's to basically try and, make sure that he gets played in the position that he wants to, and that he is by and far, the main focal point of not just PSG's team on the pitch, but the project as a whole. I mean, I think it's difficult to get more integral to what PSG are today than Mbappe is at present. But, he has been vocal in the last couple of weeks that he would like his position at PSG to reflect the one that he's playing for France as well. So, there was a lot of chatter about that. And, there was a lot of, I wouldn't even say that it was a negative atmosphere around Mbappe at the stadium. It was more one of intrigue to see sort of how he performed under pressure. Obviously scored the penalty and very nearly activated hero mode late on when he scored that acrobatic effort that got chalked off. So, I think PSG definitely still a work in progress, but I don't think that Mbappe's timing on that, would have been helpful today. But it could have been worse for PSG because they could quite easily have lost this game against a very good Benfica side.
Now, JJ, I know you're a very intelligent man. In your opinion, do you think that this is a media hit job on Mbappe to really tarnish his character, or do you feel that there is some smoke behind this?
I mean, I think, obviously we've got insiders like Ben Jacobs, like Fabrizio Romano. Everybody that you speak to about this affirms that Kylian Mbappe isn't 100% happy at PSG right now with the way things have been going since he extended his contract. However, what Campos said publicly is true. There hasn't been officially, a demand to leave the club. So it very much feels like this is, a bit of pressure being put on PSG by, those in and around Mbappe to try and put him in the best position possible, to play his football, but also to be, the real figurehead of this project. And I mean, it kind of feels like this has been coming, to be honest, since the very beginning of the season. We saw Mbappe, start the season injured, suspended, while Neymar and Messi really hit the ground running. And it feels like he's been playing catch up ever since. And I think really, it's almost like Mbappe needs to now just get his head down, keep performing the way that he has done, up until that contract extension. Because when he turns it on, when he puts the team on his back, he's able to carry them in a way that, let's face it, with all due respect for what they've achieved in the game, Neymar and Messi still haven't been able to at the biggest of occasions for PSG.
JJ, just a quick question maybe on the bigger picture for PSG. Of course, we know by January, Qatar's great sporting project, the 2022 World Cup, that will be at an end. Is there a sense that has played any part in, in PSG's decision to or the pressure that was put on Mbappe to stay last summer when he clearly seemed to want to go to Real Madrid? And could it have any longer term ramifications? Will Qatar get bored of all this, of fighting to keep Mbappe, of fighting to kind of keep their project at the top of the European tree and not winning the Champions Leagues?
I mean, I think that's it's a good and it's a valid question. Obviously it would be a bad look, I think, for PSG to have lost a key figure like Mbappe just a couple of months before the World Cup. So obviously there was that in play. Obviously they let the opportunity to have won a Champions League title before the World Cup sort of slipped through their fingers as well. But I think the moment where, we were looking at Qatar potentially, exiting PSG immediately after the World Cup has passed, given the money that they're pumping into stuff like the new training facility, which is going to take another couple of years to be built. I do think that they will be a bit frustrated and perhaps at some point, might just give up and potentially try and cash in on Mbappe. But to think that they'd do it immediately after the World Cup, so in the January transfer window, I don't think that'll happen. I think almost the last couple of years with PSG and in European football have given PSG's Qatari owners a real taste for success in Europe at the top level, and I think that's why we've now seen them branching out into other clubs like Braga. They purchased around 21.5% of Braga earlier in the week. And there's been rumours as well that we might see them entering into other clubs in Europe. You've got the Aspire links at Eupen. I believe it's the same as well at Leeds. So, this is potentially, your next, I think, City Football Group or Red Bull project, as opposed to, the Qatari sort of cutting and running from PSG and potentially, selling the club and all of its assets, including Mbappe, presumably, sometime in the next 12 to 18 months.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out there to everyone here, right? I'm going to give the human element of this. Now, obviously, like James said, we know Mbappe wanted to leave to go to Real Madrid. And I personally believe he still wants to go to Real Madrid. There's an element there. He stayed with PSG, let's be real, because he got paid very well to stay there. I don't really believe too much in him being the figurehead of this club and the head of this project. I don't think so, no. But do you think there's an element that comes into it when you look at what Haaland is doing at Manchester City, how the world and everyone in football generally is talking about the Haaland goal-scoring machine, and Mbappe isn't getting that kind of same limelight? Do you feel that kind of plays a part of him looking at Haaland and wanting that same kind of respect and admiration and leading the club to this whole situation we're seeing at PSG?
Are you saying he wants to get out of a farmers league?
Don't say that to JJ. But
you know
I
what?
do think so, JJ, though, on a personal, let's be real, because footballers, yes, they're good human beings at times, not all of them, but they do have an ego issue. And if you think about how Haaland has gone to Manchester City, the whole world and football world is talking about Haaland and what he's doing at Manchester City, breaking records, goals. It's all Haaland. Mbappe is still sitting there, and to a slight degree, under Messi and Neymar's shadow. That could be playing an element of, I need to get out there and I need to go somewhere else.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but then I feel like, why doesn't Mbappe just do his talking on the pitch? Why does he allow himself to be molded into this brand, which he has been over the last couple of years by those around him, where, he's kind of built up to be this, completely perfect figure who's also a phenomenal footballer. If you want to be a top level professional, and play the game at the highest levels, then prioritize, what happens on the pitch in your career. Don't prioritize sort of, being seen as, the new face of a generation, which is basically what, the brand Mbappe, has been created to do in the last couple of years. I think that there has to come a point, and, the same applies to PSG as well. And we felt like it was that moment arriving this summer where, you have to take it back to the basics, and it has to be all about the football at one point.
But seriously, if he wants to do his talking on the pitch, doesn't he kind of need to be in a league? He can only do his talking in the Champions League, can't he? He can only do it in 6 games. I know Ian had something he wanted to say, but I just thought I'd chuck that in. I mean, how can you talk on the pitch when it's, against Metz and Ajaccio?
But do you know what it is, James, as well? Just before Ian jumps in, sorry. It's also the fact of, remember, it's still the reliance of, you got Messi and Neymar. These ain't just good players. These are historic players that's going to go in the world of football. So even if he has to do his talking on the pitch, there's still that reliance of great assist by Messi, great assist by Neymar. So he's always still underneath that shadow. And just to add to what JJ said, the problem that I don't like, that I'm seeing with Mbappe right now, like you said, is it's this whole perfect image. No one's perfect. Give a true reflection of yourself, because as much as he tries to have this perfect image, this generational footballer, this face, the more a lot of people are going to be against him to a certain degree, because they're not seeing the real Mbappe. And then eventually, as that boils up and builds up, he might have a Will Smith moment.
JJ, you want to respond to that?
I mean, honestly, my feelings on it, I think, aside from the Premier League, you can make an argument that Mbappe doesn't necessarily have to be anywhere else. Yes, obviously, there's huge prestige when you go to a club like a Barcelona or a Real Madrid, but is that really that much more of a challenge in La Liga, outside of those clubs? I'm not sure it is. I mean, I think, you can make the argument for the Premier League given how competitive it is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that's also partly where some of this frustration comes into it on Mbappe's part, because, when he signed up to continue this project with PSG, it looked like Neymar will be moved on in the summer. Messi, to all intents and purposes, looked, washed, for want of a better excuse. Obviously, he's proved that's not the case. And Neymar has perked up, whether that's because it's World Cup year or just because it's a breath of fresh air, given that Galtier and Campos have come in. But, at the end of the day, suddenly PSG have 3 star players as opposed to 1 who was carrying the team on his back all the time, which is what was happening to Mbappe last season. So, I think that they either need to learn to coexist or, PSG have some difficult decisions to make and perhaps have to part with some of their prized assets. You've got Messi's contract coming to an end, and suddenly with Neymar in this kind of form, he's actually, a player that other clubs might look at now and think, well, maybe he is worth splashing some money on, which wasn't the case in the summer.